to officially get that from the sheriff's office before we put that information out. But we do know that there are a lot of roads in that area that are blocked. So Brian, obviously a very serious situation as we're learning about this damage, but what about the threat of more weather that might be moving through?
Yeah, now the good news here is that the threat is gradually morphing from a tornado threat with individual supercells like we had during maybe 2, 3 o'clock this morning to now more of a severe thunderstorm with strong wind system. You can see that it has weakened. It kind of morphed into a big mass of thunderstorms now, but we do have an area under severe thunderstorm warnings right now for damaging winds. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, the Carbondale Airport, the Murfreesboro Carbondale Weather Station, reporting a wind gust of over 60, and this is the latest warning, and you can kind of see here, if we zoom in a little bit, Marion, you guys are now under a severe thunderstorm warning as this big line moves in from the west. Doesn't look terribly intense in terms of reflectivity. We had some huge hail earlier, 2 and 3 inch hail in Carter County, but winds of up to 50 or 60 miles an hour possible as this moves east into Williamson County. Carbondale still under a warning. Union County, you're under the warning. You can see the outline there, including Jackson, Cape Girardeau, even down toward the northern part of Alexander County. Here's the bottom end of the warning, but it looks like near Advance, but it looks like even down toward Dexter, some pretty strong cells right now. And here's a kind of a wider view. Tornado watch until 9:15 for all of this area, or 9:30 I think it is for most of southeast Missouri and southern Illinois. Here's that warning. And by the way, to our northwest, we have a severe thunderstorm watch because the front itself is still well to the northwest of here. So it's not over yet. This may be a very active Wednesday. We'll have more details, obviously, coming up.
You know, that was a big concern yesterday when you were tracking this storm that would be overnight, and a lot of people would be sleeping when a lot of these storms roll through. Well, with all of that in mind, we do want to let you know that we are hearing about some power outages this morning, as you might expect. Nearly 1,400 or so Black River customers out of power in Bollinger County, also hearing about 700 outages in Wayne County. But let's get back to the matter at hand, the situation that we are very concerned about this morning, and that is the tornado damage that we're hearing about in Bollinger County. In fact, Nolan Cook ought to be getting very close to that area. He is our photographer who is in our storm tracker, who is heading to Bollinger County. He was on 34 at last check and is going to be heading toward the Glen Allen area as well as the Grassy area, which I'm just going to read to you again what Sheriff Casey Graham over in Bollinger County told me just moments ago, saying that first responders and law enforcement, they are responding right now to reports of structure damage, a lot of road blockages. We're specifically talking about in the Glen Allen, again in the Grassy area, and they're just asking people, of course, you know, when storms like these happen, people want to see what's going on and what the damage looks like, but they're saying, please just let first responders get to that area. We don't know, there may be a lot of power lines that are down, so please be safe as they may be trying to even search for people at this hour. We don't know the gravity of the situation just yet, so they're just asking for some time as they go out and assess that area. It's still dark, so we don't know exactly what they are dealing with, but you can see it looks like Nolan's getting close to some of the activity. As soon as he gets a better handle on the situation there, we will go back to him and let you know exactly what's happening in Bollinger County this morning, but we are on top of that, and we will let you know as soon as we get more details. Let's go ahead and head to some other news of the day. History made in Carbondale, Illinois, as voters elect the town's first Black mayor. Current Mayor Pro Tem Carolyn Harvey. I want to give a shout out to our friends in McBride, Missouri, that is. Hope you're staying safe on this stormy Wednesday. And of course, we are working to get some updates on that stormy situation. Tornado damage reported in Bollinger County overnight. So, Brian, I'm going to see what I have as far as information goes on that. And how about you get us caught up on what's going on right now?
Well, still a developing story, obviously. We're still tracking storms with damaging winds moving through parts of southern Illinois, southeast Missouri. Numerous severe thunderstorm warnings in effect. But overnight, tornadoes confirmed in the heartland. We'll take a closer look at the forecast and the radar coming up.
A Grammy salute to the Beach Boys, Sunday, 8/7 Central.
First Alert Weather with Brian Allworth is sponsored by St. Francis Healthcare System.
So a quick update, the severe thunderstorm warnings have all been canceled. we still have obviously a significant thunderstorm complex moving through southern Illinois and southeast Missouri, but losing intensity now. But before I zoom in, I did want to point out this is the cold front still northwest of here. So that's why we're forecasting more, at least the potential for more strong storms today. In the meantime, yeah, that severe thunderstorm warning has just been taken down, but obviously still a lot of rain and lightning and maybe some gusty winds right down 57 and then across the river into southeast Missouri as well. And just a few of the towns in the path of this as it moves to the east now include Marion and Shawneetown and Paducah. It looks like this is going to keep moving east. It may still weaken a little bit with time. Shawneetown about 550, Paducah 557. So still a developing situation. Current temps are in the 60s and 70s. Where it hasn't rained, it's really warm and windy. Where it has rained, we're still seeing some wind gusts, but a little bit cooler, not quite as windy. Wind advisories, by the way, remain in effect for the day today. It's going to be a windy Wednesday, at least until that cold front moves through, and that front is still northwest of here. I will say, though, one good thing about these fronts, when you have a line of storms like that, that usually indicates less of a tornado threat, more of a thunderstorm threat with damaging wind. So we're not out of the woods in terms of severe, but maybe from here going forward, less of a tornado threat. But we still, at least for the morning hours, have a threat of more tornadoes ahead of this line in southeast Illinois, southeast Missouri as well. So we're not completely out of the woods. Tornado watch in effect until 9:30 in the yellow, all the way from Little Rock up into our area. And overnight, quite a few reports of tornadoes on the ground, including northern Arkansas. And I suspect that the tornado confirmed in Boulder County may have been on the ground earlier, maybe as early as Carter County or Ripley County as well. But for today, windy, periods of showers and storms. Now, it may be intermittent, not constant. Highs in the 70s, not quite as warm as yesterday. The rain pushes off to the east overnight. By tomorrow morning, it'll be cooler and lows in the 40s, drying out overnight. Just a quick look toward the weekend. Tomorrow will be a chillier day, but at least it'll be quiet. By Friday, we're rebounding a little bit. By the weekend, still looks like a pretty nice Easter weekend on the way. In fact, after today, the forecast overall looks pretty good for the next week. For a change, right? Last few weeks have been terrible in terms of severe weather around here, strong winds and everything. But take a look at Easter weekend. A little light at the end of the tunnel, perhaps. Right now, it looks like highs in the 60s on Saturday and low 70s on Sunday. Obviously, still a. Is that video from? I'll toss it back to Crystal. I think we've got video now coming in from Boulder County.
Yeah, we do, Brian. And this is right outside of the Glen Allen area. I just got off the phone with our photographer, Nolan Cook, who was there on scene. He tried to give me a better idea of exactly where he is. He says he's at Highway 34 and ZZ. He says you can visibly, and I know it's still dark, but you can see that there is a lot of damage there. Highway Patrol on the scene. We understand that also there are some other agencies, Cape's Rescue Team, called out to try to assist the situation. There's trees down. We understand there's also a really heavy, thick smell of natural gas in the area, so a lot of concerns as they don't want people to be in that area unless you are an emergency official and you are trying to get help to the area. We did also hear from the Highway Patrol that, again, we're talking about the areas near Grassy and Glen Allen. The Bolinger County Sheriff's Office requesting assistance in the area. Again, this is from emergency officials due to large debris as well as road blockages. Injuries, we understand, have been reported. We don't know how many at this time, as authorities are still trying to assess. It is still dark, and they are still trying to get a handle on the situation. Utilities, of course, interrupted right now. MoDOT is on the scene. We have several agencies that have been woken up early to come and assist what the situation is there in Bolinger County. Again, just as Nolan was telling us that he's smelling that natural gas, we are hearing about reports of a natural gas leak at the M&G substation. If that is familiar to you, the company, we understand, has crew members en route to try to fix that issue. So an ongoing situation this morning as we are learning about tornado damage as well as injuries in Bolinger County. This is specifically, we're seeing in the Glen Allen area. You can see there are a lot of emergency officials on the ground there. We will continue to follow this story as soon as we get any new information. Of course, we will be passing that along to you live right here on air and as well as on online. Stay with us. We'll have more in just a bit.
Back to First Alert Doppler, still seeing some heavy showers and storms out there. No warnings currently. That could change at any time. We still have a tornado watch in effect, but this whole system is kind of broken down a little bit into a large area of just rain and thunder and wind. We did have a report earlier of winds of almost 70 miles an hour in Carbondale, but those warnings now taken down as the storms have weakened. But you can see here in southern Illinois, 57, very wet. Pretty heavy cells too, especially down toward Union County, southeast of Cape. And look at all the lightning. We were talking earlier as we were tracking these tornadoes that the lightning was actually doing us a favor, I think, by waking folks up, the lightning and thunder obviously, and maybe inducing them to tune in to see what the heck was going on, thereby allowing us to warn people at 2 and 3 in the morning. Very tricky. You don't like to have severe weather and tornadoes overnight, but that's what we had. And confirmed tornadoes now causing damage in southeast Missouri a couple of hours ago. So how about the rest of today? I don't think we're out of the woods completely yet. So that front is still northwest of here. This particular model brings that next line along the front through at about, 8, 9, 10 o'clock this morning, moves it across the area during the middle of the day today. This could, again, prompt some severe thunderstorm warnings. Wind would be the most likely culprit with this line of storms. Not that you couldn't have an isolated tornado and a little hail, but a line like that more likely to be wind. By 6 o'clock, no more severe, but maybe some cool showers there. Even overnight, some thunder showers possible, but behind the front, so they shouldn't be severe. Kentucky, Tennessee at about midnight, and by tomorrow morning, finally it's drying out and cooling down. So again, for today, this is for Wednesday, we are still under the gun, a level 2, level 3 risk of severe. I think from here on out, most likely we're going to see wind damage reports. And so Crystal, things this morning still fluid. The tornado threat seems to be over for now, but we still have a tornado watch in effect.
And let's get back to the story that we're covering right now, and this is the tornado damage that we are hearing about in Bollinger County. We are live on the scene right now in the Glen Allen area. As you can see, a lot of emergency officials in that area as they are trying to assess the damage situation. We understand that there are injuries in that area. We don't know how many. We are seeing that there's a lot of information floating around on social media right now, but we are waiting to get you the official word on exactly how many people might be hurt. Of course, it's still dark. Unfortunately, when storms like this happen overnight, a lot of people are sleeping. Maybe they didn't get those alerts, unfortunately. So we are just hoping and praying that everyone is safe in Bollinger County. This is the Glen Allen area. We do have a crew there on the scene trying to gather some more information. We understand there's a gas leak. There are lots of trees down, possibly power lines down. So authorities are just saying, please just avoid that area if you can, because they are trying to make sure that they get those emergency crews to the scene to help as many people who need it. We'll continue to follow this. We'll be back with more in just a bit.
I have type 2 diabetes, but I manage it well.
The Breakfast Show is sponsored by Southeast Health. Live, local, now. This is The Breakfast Show.
Good morning and welcome back on this Wednesday morning. A state of chaos. That is how a dispatcher in Bollinger County described the situation to me earlier today as we were starting to learn about tornado damage in the Glen Allen area. So we are continuing to follow that story. We're going to update you on what we know here in just a bit, but we also want to get caught up because the weather threat is not over today.
Right, exactly. So Brian, are we out of the woods? What does it look like?
Yeah, number one, yes, we should expect more storms, and no, we are not out of the woods. In fact, real quickly, if you look to the northwest, this is the actual cold front, and we have severe thunderstorm warnings along that front well to the northwest of us right now. So yeah, we're going to have more storms during the day today. Let's talk about right now, though. Again, confirmed tornado damage out of Bollinger County, but my suspicion is we may have had a tornado on the ground that we just don't know about yet. Across, say, Carter County, Ripley County, Wayne County, too, because it looked very suspicious, very dangerous on radar. Having said all that, we don't have any warnings right now, not even a severe thunderstorm warning. The system gradually weakening a little bit. There's still a lot of heavy rain and lightning and maybe some gusty winds across southern Illinois, southeast Missouri with this system. And here's a little closer look. Looks like down 57, 64, lots of heavy rain south and east of Mount Vernon, Marion, down toward Union County, Alexander County. Here's a little closer look, and boy, it's wet out there. But again, no warnings currently in effect, although we still could have some warnings issued with this storm if any of the cells or any areas of the line of storms, any area begins to get stronger again. But just plain old rain and thunderstorms this morning down to Elvira, Olive Branch, and one little small heavy cell just southeast of Dexter there in Stoddard County. So we still have a tornado watch in effect in the yellow. No warnings right now, but that could change. And don't forget, to our northwest, we are seeing warnings reissued with that approaching cold front.
Let's head back out live out in Bollinger County in the Glen Allen area specifically. As you can see, lots of activity going on. It's obviously dark out there, so we can't see too much, but we can see the emergency lights, the officials out there definitely looking around, trying to get more information. Crystal, what do you know so far?
Yeah, we've been getting a lot of new information in just the last hour or so. We do know that there are several emergency crews from not just Bollinger County, but as you would expect, they will have surrounding counties coming to assist. We do know that the Cape Rescue Team is on the way to assist. You can see our photographer Nolan Cook is there trying to gather some more information to try to find out exactly what's going on. He's going to zoom in right now to try to give us a closer look, because I'm sure he's been pushed back a little bit because they are concerned about power lines down, trees down. There was a natural gas leak in the area as well. The biggest concern, of course, that we have right now is the fact that there are injuries reported. We don't know exactly how many. We don't know the extent of those injuries. Unfortunately, when a storm like this happens overnight, there are a lot of people who are asleep. Perhaps they didn't hear the warnings, and that is definitely the chilling thought that's going through a lot of people's minds this morning as they wake up and try to figure out exactly what's happening. I did have someone who has a family member there, and they are super concerned. So our thoughts and prayers are just with everyone that is in the Glen Allen area this morning as they are trying to wrap their heads around exactly the extent of this damage, because again, it's still dark. We can't get a full scale of exactly what happened there, but we do know that there are a lot of structures that are damaged. And they are just asking people that if you can avoid that area, because again, it's unsafe, and they want to make sure that these rescue crews, they can get in there to assist. Of course, we just lost that live shot. Cell phone signals a little dicey in Bollinger County typically, and of course right now they are struggling with that signal, but we are going to stay on that, and it's back out here live now again. But they just want to make sure that people steer clear of that area right now because it's not safe, and they want to make sure that if there are people who are missing and need to be rescued, that is the top priority, and that they can get out there and do what they need to do. And we will stay on that. As soon as we get a little bit more daylight, we will be able to show you the extent of some of that damage, and as soon as we hear more from authorities, we will pass that along. Let's get to some other headlines and news of the day. Former President Donald Trump officially charged with 34 felony counts of falsifying business records.
Trump made his first appearance in a Manhattan district court on Tuesday and then talked about the charges during a rally at his home in Florida. Brendan Collerton breaks down the arguments in the case.
Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg says no one is above the law, and that includes the former president. Donald Trump's attorneys say Bragg has a weak case, and he's operating outside his jurisdiction. Unsealed, Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg revealed former President Donald Trump is charged with 34 instances of falsifying records.
Under New York state law, it is a felony to falsify business records with intent to defraud and an intent to conceal another crime.
Bragg says the initial crime was violating election law by concealing information from voters that would have hurt Trump's candidacy. Trump's attorneys say Bragg doesn't have the authority to press those charges.
A state prosecutor is prosecuting a federal election law violation that doesn't exist according to federal election law officials. It's as simple as that.
Trump says the case is just another attempt by Democrats to bring him down, calling it politically motivated.
This fake case was brought only to interfere with the upcoming 2024 election, and it should be dropped immediately.
The next in-person hearing is set for December 4th, approximately 5 weeks before the first GOP presidential primary. This case does not legally impact the other investigations into Trump. In Washington, I'm Brendan Collerton.
History is made in Carbondale as the town elects its first black mayor. Carolyn Harvey addressed the crowd at her crowded thank you party, sending her. Let's head on over to Franklin County and say hello to everyone in North City, Illinois. Glad to have you on board this Wednesday morning. Brian, it's been a busy night.
Yeah, it has. We're still getting some heavy rain in Franklin County, and we're still tracking some thunderstorms out of southeast Missouri into southern Illinois. No warnings right now, no official warnings anyway, but we still have a tornado watch in effect, and we've got another line of storms to our north and west.
We have it in Harris.
First Alert Weather with Brian Allworth is sponsored by St. Francis Healthcare System.
No official severe thunderstorm warnings right now. This whole system has weakened a little bit, but still a lot of rain and lightning and probably a few strong wind gusts across southern Illinois into southeast Missouri. Here's a little closer look showing southeast Illinois now with a lot of heavy rain. Doesn't look too bad. This is a little stronger here from about Marion south along 57. Again, no warnings issued, but probably some wind gusts, some lightning, some heavy rain with that, even down towards Sykeston, the tail end of this. And remember, we still have a tornado watch in effect. So at some point we could see more warnings issued, just that right now we don't have any official warnings in the area. A lot of lightning though, so a lot of folks being awakened early this morning. And here's the problem. The cold front is still well to our northwest. That's why we think we could have more severe weather later on this morning. Current temps are in the 70s, gusty south winds continue. Sometimes when a line of storms moves through, look at that, wind gust of 43 at Carbondale. Sometimes the line moves through and then that's it. In this case, we're likely to have more active weather, because the main event, or at least the main cold front, is still northwest of here, and it is already, we're starting to see a line of storms all the way across the Midwest, and a few individual cells out ahead of that line becoming very strong in northwest Arkansas, southwest Missouri as well. In fact, if I look closely now, I see tornado warnings in effect ahead of that line in northwest Arkansas. So we are not out of the woods yet. We'll likely have more severe weather during the day today, at least until that front can push through later on. So showers and storms, windy today. It may be intermittent. We're not talking 24/7 rain, but yeah, we're still going to have to monitor the radars for sure. For tonight, the rain pushes off to the east gradually. Maybe some rain even during the overnight hours, especially for our friends in Tennessee and Kentucky. By tomorrow morning, though, it'll be cooler. Tomorrow looks like a cooler day. Highs near 60, partly cloudy skies. Little warmer on Friday. By the weekend, it still looks really nice. In fact, the entire 7-day after today looks pretty nice. Maybe a tiny chance of showers on Monday, but Easter Sunday in particular looks nice. Cool in the morning, mild in the afternoon.
We're going to head back out live to Bollinger County. It sounds like we have a reporter, Jeffrey Bullard, out there right now to give us the latest information on what's going on. Yeah, Jeffrey, what's it look like right now? Oh, that is... Sorry about that. Let's get over to Jeffrey to see what's going on. Okay.
Check.
All right. So obviously, cell phone signal is not the best in Bollinger County, but we want to get you up to date on exactly what's going on, because this is our main concern right now, is our friends in Bollinger County, specifically the Glen Allen area. So where our photographer is set up, you can see right there, right at 34 and ZZ. This is in the Glen Allen area. We understand there are a lot of power outages there. There are reports of injuries. That is our main concern right now. We have been told that there are several agencies that are responding to help with search and rescue. We don't know the extent of injuries or how many people might be missing, but again, this storm happened overnight when obviously there were a lot of people that were sleeping and possibly didn't hear those warnings. So we still have some concerns in that area. Roads blocked, so authorities are saying, please don't drive into this area. They have trees down. They have possibly power lines down. They have a gas leak that is reported. Again, power outages. Earlier when I talked to a dispatcher, she was very kind, but you could hear the panic in her voice. And she said, right now we are in a state of chaos. So she referred me to the sheriff, who says, yes, we do have a lot of structures that have been damaged. And then the highway patrol later telling us that the bigger concern at this point, because they're starting to learn more, is the injuries that might have happened due to this tornado damage in Bollinger County. So we are going to stay there all morning. We are waiting for the sunlight to happen. Okay, I'm just hearing that Jeffrey is ready, and we're going to send it over to him. Jeffrey, what is the latest? What are you hearing there on the ground right now?
Yeah, Crystal, the First thing whenever I got here, we're on Highway 34, Glen Allen. I did not smell gasoline, thank goodness. I did have a woman approach me, her name was Myra Underwood. She said she was actually the owner of the, was it gasoline or gas tank that was supposedly leaking. She says that natural gas, thank you. She said it was just releasing and it was no longer dangerous. She was speaking with officials right whenever she came up to talk to me. But if we go ahead and pan over here, we can just kind of show you some of the damage. Nolan, whenever we got here, or before I got here, what did you say they were doing with that tree? What were they doing? They were moving it off the highway. They were cutting it, right?
Yeah.
They were cutting it, and obviously we still have a lot of people, first responders still here. They say that there's is it an electric line? Power line down, which is causing some issues with traffic. Just for right now, we'll bring you the latest as soon as we have it. Back to you guys.
All right, Jeffrey, and that is the story this morning, is that we are still moment by moment trying to gather these details as we're hearing from authorities. They are very, very busy right now, so we appreciate the ones that have been able to answer us via text message or calls, because we know that they are top of mind right now is the situation where there might be people injured. We don't know if there are people trapped. Hopefully the situation isn't that grave, but we don't know. So we are just pins and needles here waiting to find out more information.
Yeah, and I'd say if you want to help out in any way, don't go down to that area right away. If they need the help to pick things up, anything like that, they will definitely put a call out for that. But they don't need people just wandering around looking at what's happening, because that will interfere with what they are doing for whatever's going on down there right now. So just stay where you are, and just thoughts and prayers to everyone in Bollinger County.
Yeah, and it may not be safe there as well. Again, with power lines that possibly are down, trees down. We are going to stay on this story for you in Bollinger County. We'll be back there live, and we'll take a break. We'll be right back.
I would describe myself as a fighter. I'm John Morgan.
Back to First Alert Doppler. No official warnings right now. We're still seeing a lot of rain, thunder, lightning, maybe some gusty winds. We do have warnings to our southwest, over southwest Missouri, and that's along that cold front that'll move in here later on today. But yeah, look at the futurecast. Lines up pretty well for a forecast model with what's going on. So from here on out, even as that moves away and weakens, we're expecting this next line to move in a few hours. So at noon, this model has that line right over us, more of a solid line of storms. And that would indicate more of a wind threat than anything else. Not that you couldn't have some hail or even an isolated tornado, but along the line you would expect more wind. But yeah, that's the thing. We could have another round of active weather moving in from the west by about midday today. And by 2 o'clock, we're still seeing storms in our southeastern counties. Even at 4 o'clock, that front continues to move through. It looks like the rain should wind down this evening. And in any event, by 6 o'clock, we're behind the front, so we're clearing out and cooling down. Any rain, any thunderstorms after about 4 or 5 should be non-severe. But I guess what I want to get across, Crystal and Elena, is that even though the storms this morning are moving away and weakening, more storms are likely, and some of those could be severe during the rest of the afternoon.
Thanks, Brian. If you're celebrating a birthday today, you're sharing it with 3 recording artists and a very popular wrestler. Let's begin with the recording artist. She's a Swedish singer who joined the pop group ABBA back in the 1970s. They were known for such hits as Waterloo, Dancing Queen, and The Winner Takes It All. Agnetha Falskog is 73 today.
He's the younger brother of country music legend Johnny Cash, who had a couple of hits of his own, including 6 White Horses. Tommy Cash is 83 today.
He's a singer, rapper, and music producer who was nominated for an Oscar in 2014 for writing the song Happy for the film Despicable Me 2. Pharrell Williams is 50 today.
And she's a professional wrestler who's won several titles with the WWE. Her match with Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey back in 2019 was the first women's match to headline a WWE WrestleMania. She goes by the nickname Nature Girl due to her being the daughter of Nature Boy Ric Flair. We're talking about Charlotte Flair, who's 37 today.
And if your birthday's coming up, you could win a $25 gift certificate from Dairy Queen. All you have to do is enter through our KFVS News app. You can register at any time, but your name can only be drawn the week of your birthday. So go ahead and do that. We're going to get you caught up on all of the weather and everything that's going on, especially over in the Bollinger County area, specifically the Glen Allen area with the storms that rolled through earlier this morning. We will get you caught up on all of that and all the information you need to know as you head out and about later today. We'll be back here shortly with more.
Create